Another group or potential area for targeted bullying has to do with identity or transgendered individuals. So these are people who have uh, who were born, say, a man, and then feel like on the inside that they're a woman, and they go through hormone therapies and sometimes sex change operations, sometimes not, to in order to live life as a woman or to live life as a man. And this doesn't necessarily mean that they are gay or straight. It really has to do with which gender they identify with most. And this is this is pretty rare, but it does come up, and it might not be something that most people are going to have to deal with, but if in your class you ever have the opportunity to deal with a transgendered individual, this is such a small minority that it could easily be an area where they could be subject to bullying. And is remember, like always, that we need to treat them with compassion and show our understanding and respect, and that they have the right to be there and gain the same education as and feel like they're in a safe environment, the same as everybody else. So, when we're thinking about who could be potentially the targets for bullying in our classroom, we need to think about, like, who are the vulnerable people, and generally, they're going to be the people who are either they're unable to defend themselves. Maybe they're smaller or weaker, or for some reason they're slower. They can't come up with a comeback verbally as fast as somebody else, and so they tend to get dominated, and they can be picked on that way. Uh, another thing to look out for is for people who are perceived to be different for whatever reason. It could be a physical difference. It could be a race, or any of the number of things that we listed before, or it could be that for some reason the students just feel like that person's odd, or they don't quite fit in, or whatever reason. They if you see someone starting to get isolated because of that reason, that's definitely a time to jump in. Um, Also, people who are suffering from from depression or anxiety or low self-esteem can also be targets of bullying, and because the people who are doing the bullying, the kids who are doing the bullying, would see this as an opportunity to dominate and exert their authority. Also, look for students that don't seem to really have that many friends or no friends, that they're not really socializing with the other students, because that's setting up a situation where you've got a social isolation, and that social isolation may not necessarily be the cause of bullying, but it definitely could end up being a target of bullying, because that person is in an isolated social situation, and also, students that are either perceived to be annoying, or that they're provoking other people, or even students that are antagonistic towards other students. It may seem that an antagonistic student, or a student that's provoking other students, really is being the bully, but it may be the case that outside of your class, that individual is in a defensive posture and trying to defend themselves themselves against bullying that's happening from a group, and they may feel for whatever reason that they are being a target. You just have to remember that that the bullying has to have it has to be malicious. It has to be repetitive, and the and all three of the characteristics that we listed before. So as teachers or instructors, there are some things that we can do, and so we'll go ahead and talk about those. Teaching Tolerance website is really a great resource when it comes to dealing with bullies or prejudices or discrimination of any sort. They are a branch of the Southern Poverty Law Center that is a group that goes after white supremacists and other discriminatory organizations legally, but they have an education branch where they offer free material for educators on a number of topics. So listed on their website are some of the things that we can do to help prevent or when bullying's happening, what we can do about it. So the first thing to do is we need to stop the bullying immediately. We can't let it slide. If we do, or we wait till later, it may be too late, or in some ways it may be perceived as an endorsement of the bullying if we don't jump in and take care of it. Also, be sure to refer to the school rules or policies regarding bullying, and be familiar with those, especially because you may need to understand what your limits are and what you can do and what you can't do, and your school or organization may already have some policies or some strategies in place, and it's a good idea to become familiar with those, and also to see if those policies or rules are adequate enough to deal with the situation. Be sure to support the bullied child, and let that student know that you care and that you understand what's going on, and that you are going to do what you can to help provide that student a safe place. If you just let it pass, like I know, like when I was younger, and then this may still go on a little bit today, is when boys were picking on boys, the comments was always, well, boys will be boys, and that's just what they do. Well, that's not really the compassionate or the professional thing to do in that sense, because that child may end up being in some real danger, if not physically, definitely emotionally. Also, offer guidance to the bystanders. So talk to the other students who are maybe not directly involved, and encourage them to help support and stop through peer pressure, or they may be scared themselves to stand up and to know that you are going to stand by them and do what's right. If they feel supported by you as an authority, then they are going to be more likely to speak up if something is happening, or if something's happening to somebody else. Be sure to impose immediate consequences. This is really important. If a bully is not dealt with immediately, then they walk away, and there's a potential for more danger to happen later on outside the classroom. But also they will get a sense that maybe they won, or that if they think that consequences are something that's going to happen later on, maybe they think, well, you know what, maybe I can just keep picking on this kid because I'm not going to end up with any punishment until a couple of days from now, and I can deal with that. So it's really important to deal with it immediately, not just from the standpoint of taking care of the bully, but also by showing that the person being bullied that you care, and that it's an important enough issue that they feel safe and supported in your classroom. And you need to immediately notify colleagues and parents. We need to let everybody know about this, because maybe some of this stuff is going on in other parts of the school, or maybe the parents don't know about it, or even the parents of the bullies. They may not know about it, and some of these issues might be able to take care of at home. And be sure to document everything that's going on, and follow up, and intervene as necessary. So, when you see bullying or at any level happening in your classroom, or even outside of your classroom, don't just walk by. It's your responsibility, and just as a human being, your responsibility to walk by and help. So when we think about what not to do, it's pretty important to understand, and don't confuse bullying with conflict, because there may be a personal conflict between two people. I can think of an instance where I had one boy who walked into a class, and one boy seemed like he was picking on another student on a pretty regular basis. But what I, after talking to another colleague of mine, found out that that boy in the class right before my class was picking on that student. So really, even though there seemed like that there was an imbalance of power between the two boys, it really was balanced. So in that sense, that it wasn't bullying. Not that conflict shouldn't be dealt with so that it doesn't get escalated, but it was not to the point of one person being dominated by another. It's also important during when dealing with bullying, not to use peer mediation. The reason is because the victim that is being bullied may be suffering from emotional trauma from it, or may feel intimidated by the other student, and sitting them down face to face and talking may not be the best way to do that, because sometimes I know with my students, because I deal with troubled teen boys, they are masters at telling you exactly what you want to hear. Also, don't use group treatment for bullies. Like, really, with a bully, you need to isolate the bully, and get the group to, if you're going to talk about groups, there may be situations where you need to get the bystanders in as a group to make sure that you can try to sway them in the right direction. But group treatment really has not been shown to be that successful with bullying situations. So when you're thinking about bullying, I know we've talked about this in the context of kids or high schoolers and middle schoolers, but this kind of thing can also happen in a work situation. It can happen in a regular in adults, where one adult is picking on another adult, and we need to establish those rules and what's acceptable behavior right off the bat. So if you run into a situation, this is not something that you as a trainer have to deal with or have to put up with. So that's the end of my presentation, and thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.